Okay, what's going on, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Today we have a very special guest on the show.
We have DJ, presenter of the United stand, and most importantly, Manchester United fanatic. It's Flex. Flex, how you doing,
guys? Flex, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm as good as anyone right now. Still tough for all of us, isn't it? It was this self-isolation, quarantine, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. We're all in the same boat, but we've got to still find positives and ways to smile and things to do, man. So yeah, glad to do something different and get invited onto a show I've never been on before. So yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Have you ever actually been on an Irish show before?
I haven't, no. And you know what the funny thing is we were due to fly to Dublin yesterday because we were doing the United Stand Live event in Dublin. Yeah, which obviously got cancelled. But it was going to be my first time in Dublin. And I've always wanted to go to Ireland in general, especially Dublin. I'm not sure where you guys are actually based, but
we're Dublin, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to go there. Are you guys Dublin? So yeah, so that would have been really interesting. We had a lot of people messaging saying, they had reminders on their sort of tickets that they'd got. That it obviously cancelled, and it was a sad time. But you know, once all this is blown over, we'll definitely make the trip to Ireland again because we had it all sorted and stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I actually emailed Mark a while ago because obviously Mark Albridge, he announced that he was coming over to Dublin for with the United stand, but they had originally picked the date when Ireland were playing a qualifier against Slovakia for the Euros. And I was like, Mark, just a heads up, Ireland are going to be playing that night, so you know what I mean? Like everyone's going to be watching that. The football fans. But,
he changed it. He changed it after that. He changed it, I think. And then we went for the second. I think it was the second of it. What day was it yesterday? Second, was it?
Yeah.
2nd of April. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have been. It would have been tonight. I think it would have been. So no, sorry, it would have been yesterday. It would have been yesterday.
Yeah. Whereabouts were you meant to be going?
Disappointed that we can't do it.
Do you know what the place is called?
I can't remember the name of the venue. I got it on an email, but I can't remember the actual name of the place. I'll have to dig it out for you. But it was somewhere in the centre. He said it was because Mark used to live out in Ireland, so he's got fond memories of being out there.
Oh yeah, he was doing Keep You Uppies Malahide one time, I think. Flex, next time you are in Dublin though, you have to hit us up and we'll tell you where's to be. We'll arrange a little sightseeing tour for you. You know what I mean? We'll show you the ropes.
100%. Now we've touched in and I know you guys a bit better now. We can definitely do that 100%, man, because we will reschedule that for sure. Yeah,
that sounds good. Flex, first of all, right? For people want to know, what's your actual name as well?
Do you know what? I've never actually let my actual name out of the bag. It's going to be something that you guys are going to have to find out. To be fair, I'll let you into a bit of a secret. I did do something today, not because I don't want anyone to ever find out my real name. I just think when it happens, it will happen. It's not a huge secret. But I did do something quite silly today where I put up a screenshot of my laptop, of like a screenshot of the interview I just done with Troy Deeney. But at the top right-hand corner, it said my real name because it was my MacBook. Yeah. And my phone was going off saying, yo, look, you put your name up and that. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I don't know. If you look on Twitter, it might even be there.
Yeah, because I just heard Rance's real name is Zane. That's actually a cool name.
Zane?
Yeah.
Zane?
Was that not his name, no?
I can neither confirm nor... Actually, no, I can deny that. I can deny that for him.
All right.
His name's not Zane.
Okay.
Barry, get better sources, Basmo, will you?
No, I was watching yesterday. I was with the two of yourselves. I thought it was Zane, but obviously Mark Goldbridge's real name is not actually Mark Goldbridge as well, which is
no, it's not.
I found which was hilarious. It's like an Italian name. I don't know what it is. But,
yeah, he I think it's the same thing really. I think some people who talk a lot of crap. They don't even use their real names. Listen, Stormzy's name's not Stormzy. Drake's name's not Drake. Like,
what?
Do you know what I mean?
Are you
I mean, 50 Cent's name's not 50 Cent. So Jay-Z's not Jay-Z. So at the end of the day, people can go by different aliases, different names. It's a bit of showmanship, innit? And to be fair, my name Flex actually comes from, like you touched there at the beginning of the show, from being a DJ. My mum actually gave me that name when I was about 11, 12. She just came up with the name DJ Flex. And everyone who knows me, that's just been my nickname kind of growing up, really.
All right. Well, then, how did you start getting into working with the United Stand as well? Because I'm sure you're actually living a lot of people's dream, to be honest.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I had zero intentions of ending up where I am now. if I'm honest with you guys. It actually happened because I wanted to start a YouTube channel for music, for DJing, actually do like album reviews, a couple of mixes and stuff like that, and just see where it went. And I went with my cousin to see a friend of mine who could give us some advice. But when we went to meet them, they said, actually, before we talk about that, I know a guy called Mark Goldbridge that I'd recently met. And he said he's looking to kind of take his channel, not in a different direction, but just diversify the content, I suppose. You know, do different types of content, do fan cams, do interviews, just be, you know, at the grounds, you know, just giving that raw kind of content. And basically, cut long story short, my friend said, I think you'd be good at that. I'll put you in contact with him. And I was like, no, I think you've got the wrong guy. Like, I love United, I love football, always have done. But in terms of the whole YouTube thing, being on camera, presenting, stuff like that, I don't really think that's for me. Even as a DJ, like I didn't ever go on the mic or anything like that. I literally was behind the decks. I had just have a host or a hype guy who's on the microphone. You wouldn't really catch me, you know, be in the forefront of it. I'm kind of let the music do the talking. I just wasn't that guy. So I was literally like, nah, not for me. He's like, look, man, like you never know. Like you never know where it could go. Just give it a try. So I called Mark, and he gave me the lowdown of what he was trying to achieve. And in the end, I literally went, I'll go on then. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And I remember the first game, Crystal Palace at home. People just walking past. I was standing there with a microphone. People saying, "Piss off! Who are you? Don't know who you are. Go away." It was difficult. And then got a few interviews, and it just went from there, man. It's crazy. Never intended it.
I think as things sort of grow on, people are more and more used to that. And in 2020, more people are used to giving their 2 cents in an interview. More people don't care about being on camera. In fact, almost they don't care. They're dying to be on camera now. I think everyone's hungry for the 2 minutes of fame. And I suppose a bit like with Arsenal Fan TV, like that's how they grew their characters, one might say. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? They just interview people after the game, and now like they became part of the show. I think with United Fan TV, it's a bit more structured, but it's very interesting to see. It's quite funny because the people on the fan channels are just fans as well, and they give their opinion. But just because you give your opinion on video, people like put that on a higher pedestal.
Do you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because I think when you deal with a lot of idiots who like, oh, they don't represent me. Oh, they think they're this, they think they're that. It's just people who completely misconstrue what we're actually doing. And I keep saying it. All the United Stand is, and other fan channels, any fan channel should be anyway, is a vehicle for. Sorry, someone just called me there, guys. It went a bit blank. Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still there. Go on.
Yeah, you're still good.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All it is a vehicle for people, for fans to convey their feelings and thoughts and opinions on football, on whatever team that may be, whatever channel it is, whatever sport it may be. It might not even be a football fan channel. That's all it is. Within that, yes, the people on the channel, they're going to be more regular in terms of the hosts and the presenters, etc. But even me on a match day, I very rarely give my opinion, if you get what I mean. It's for the fans. It's a chance for them to have their say, and for me to kind of play the devil's advocate to encourage them to think about what they're saying and just spark debate, you know what I mean, conversation. That's all it is. From it comes, a bit of like YouTube hysteria, where I think, you know, I get it. People kind of think you are on this pedestal where you're more important, or you're bigger, or you're famous, or that. And I don't buy into any of that. I say it when I meet people in the street, when I speak to anyone online. I'm just a fan. Like, I'm the same as anyone else. I love Man United. I want Man United to do well, and that it's as simple as that. But for me, this pedestal of like the fame aspect of it and stuff, I don't buy into that, because at the end of the day, just a fan like anyone else, and that the purpose of the United Stand is to encourage people to have their say.
Yeah. What it like? First of all, myself and Ross are actually massive United fans, so we get over at least once a year, every year. At least we try to. The last few years have been a bit harder, just because we haven't been playing that well, and it's a bit like, you know what I mean?
You want your money spent elsewhere.
Yeah, well, like, you know how it is. You go to every game, so you know exactly what we're talking about. But when you first met Mark, like his work ethic is just unbelievable. Like, I mean, as is yours as well. But the way he puts out content every day and drives the show forward, like yourself and Rance, like everyone around the world really, really appreciates it as well.
Do you know what? That was one of the most humbling things for me, is that understanding that it is actually a global thing. And I never understood that until we went on tour. When we went to Singapore, China, Australia last year for pre-season tour, that opened up my eyes to a whole new level of exposure, I suppose.
Yeah, but it's the biggest club in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It literally is. And you kind of know that we have a huge fan base, but when you kind of experience it in other countries with people who can't even speak English, who recognize the channel or might recognize me, but more importantly, love Manchester United, it was so humbling. It was so humbling. And to see I get like messages, like inboxes all the time of like people from like Africa, Australia, China, New York, America, anywhere, all over the world, just saying that.
I say so, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So that really does humble me, and that does spur me on and us on to just keep doing what we're doing. But I just stay in the lane. I really, I don't know, man. I hate to come across as if like you're on this pedestal or you're a super fan. I don't really like that label. Like I get that it can happen, but I just see it as it's now my duty to get to all these games and give that perspective and give behind the scenes where I can and diversify the content as much as possible, because some people literally like they'll never get a chance to go to Old Trafford. They'll never get a chance to go to an away game. They'll never get a chance to see Man United play. And if we can help, give that viewing experience to people who it can make them feel more connected to the club, then we're doing our jobs.
Yeah.
In fairness, I suppose it's one of those things where the only reason that people might actually just put that up slightly on the pedestal with someone like the United, Sam, is that you actually do get that slight bit of extra insight into the club. You get that little bit more access to the players and facilities, which is absolutely phenomenal. But like, that's what people want to see. They want to see behind the scenes footage. What you guys provide at the United stand is next level. It really is.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, and that wasn't easy to come about. A lot of people, again, I keep referring to people who talking crap and the haters and stuff, because there's a lot of lies out there. A lot of lies get put out that, the United stand is owned by a media company and they're on the payroll of United and all of that. If people understood the lengths that I've gone to on European away games and stuff to get into behind the scenes access, they wouldn't believe it. I'm talking the most amount of blagging and talking to the right people just to try and get that access for the content, where it actually then transpired into having a good relationship with the club and being able to get little bits of access here and there. And at the end of the day, I think that side of it has been really exciting. I think it's added to the viewing experience. I mean, fan channels being in press conferences has never been heard of before.
When I saw that, I felt like you did that for the fans. It was like, I was
absolutely.
Like, fucking hell, brilliant. Like,
absolutely, we did. And you know what? I could go in there and ask a bunch of questions that I want to know on a personal level. But literally, I messaged Mark once we started getting that type of access, and say, look, put a poll out. What do the fans want to see? And that's how that Pogba question come about, which all the newspapers and news outlets were running with the following day. They wanted to know, and like a lot of other stuff. But that took a lot of graft to be able for that to happen. That took us to be in a lot of press conferences, first of all, by accident and sneaking in. Secondly, being allowed in, but then not being allowed to ask any questions, because it's like, well, hold on a minute. The other journalists and even United are like, you're not an actual proper journalist.
Did you feel like they were looking down on you?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a good couple of journalist friends now. Simon Peach, one of them, great guy, always been really cool. He works for the Press Association. James Cooper at Sky Sports, who's been following Manchester United for a good 20 years, 17 years, something like that. Brilliant guy. And I had a lot of chats with them, and they explained to me that it's not that they don't like you guys, it's that they just don't understand you guys. And I thought, you know what, he's right. The traditional journalist probably doesn't look like us. And I don't mean by skin colour, I mean just by walking in with your hat backwards and hoodies and stuff
wearing the United top.
Wearing United top.
The scarf.
It's just not the done thing, It's supposed to be neutral. And I kind of just went in there, and the biggest kind of hoo-ha was caused when I got to ask my first question to Ollie, and I referred to us as we. I didn't give a shit. I was like, yeah, we're Man United fans. Yeah. We're a fan channel. I don't work for the Daily Express or the Sun or Sky Sports. I'm looking at it as we, as community of Manchester United fans. That's who I'm in here representing. The same way James Cooper's in there wearing his Sky fleece, I'm in there wearing United stand merchandise. Like that's who I'm representing. So
Yeah, we say we all the time, and like
100%. We're all the same.
People are watching this now. I'm sure it's like Arsenal fans or whatever fans are watching. Like they'd say we as well as well. You know what I mean?
100%. That's what it's all about. Like I'm in there representing the fans. Like, I'm being a voice for the fans.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that we've noticed as well. We've sort of employed, but me and Barry as Energized have employed for like media credentials and stuff. And I think because we're sort of almost seen as like a social media channel, or like all our stuff is on the internet, we're almost like less credentialed than, you know, the Irish Times newspaper. When realistically, like people, like the only person reading the Irish Times is probably like 50-year-old. Like if you want your actual, you know, target audience, males 18 to 35, you know what I mean? Like, they come to us, you know what I mean?
This is it. That target audience is changing. Like I had a good conversation with a couple of journalists who I'm good friends with, and we have a lot of interesting talks. And one of the biggest things that made my ears prick up was his realization that actually, or his acceptance basically, that like you said about the audience right there, like who they're trying to appeal to, the average older person picking up a newspaper, that audience is dying. The way football and sport in general, the way everything is consumed is different now. It's online.
It's all the mobile device.
It's whole different. Exactly. People want this kind of content on tap, on their phones, on their tablets,
every day,
on their TV, every day. And I think that is what is, you know, you only got to look at the mainstream media now. Sky had me on the Transfer Daily stuff, and
so your man from Spurs,
Live,
Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV. Yeah, like
absolutely.
They're now bringing you on. So like
because they understand it, they need a piece of the audience. They're like, hold on a minute, we're the mainstream guys, all right. We've dominated for this space for so long, but actually, whereas the YouTuber, or in inverted commas, came into it, it's like, well, who are these guys? They're just morons on the internet who have no knowledge. They have no accreditation. They have no brain, basically. They're just comedians, or they're just wallies, basically. I think that's how they were looked upon. And I think that mold is being like thrown out of the water now, smashed out of the ballpark, because they're seeing that we can articulate ourselves, we can create amazing content. And most importantly, we're capturing audiences at levels that these guys could not even dream of.
I think
every big sort of... Well, that's...
what I was going to say, just quickly, too many of the presenters are wearing suits, and you don't even know who they support. So you can't really understand them. Yeah, well, like I listened to the Sunday Supplement. I absolutely loved that show. But the main presenter, he's after leaving. There's some girls after taking over now, but then it's like a different group. So like I think I'm gonna like end up leaving that. But then when Darmish Chef, he does one.
Yeah, Darmish, he's a cool guy.
He seems very cool. He does the transfer talk, but like there's only so many transfers you can talk about, and then you're sort of like you're done as well. But yeah, Ross, go ahead.
I just think all massive corporations now have a social media person. So therefore, like obviously the Sky Sports social media person is like going to be all over you guys and all over the other fan channels to get you guys in, because they know if you guys are on TV, that means clicks for them. And you know what I mean? Like everyone's fighting for the clicks online now. So like I think it only makes sense to have you guys in there. And look, I think you're the most subscribed Man United fan channel at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, in the world officially, it's crazy. The rise has just been unbelievable. When I first started on the channel, I think it had 120,000 subscribers, and that was in September 2017.
It's you going to the show. It's you going to the game Flex that's changed it, because you actually have more people involved.
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped with that. I think it's definitely added a lot of value to the channel in terms of just a different viewer experience. I think what Mark does, which I think why it works very well, is Mark is almost like the king of live streaming and watch-alongs and stuff like that. He was like the first person to start doing that really in his space, and he really locked that down. But what I really respect Mark for is that he could have just gone, actually, I've started this channel, it's me in this room, and I've got an audience online. Look what I've got over 100,000 subs from, not even having to go to the games. But he didn't do that. What he did do was think, how could I diversify this? How can I build this? I don't want it to just be about me. And that allowed myself to come in with new ideas and stuff like that, and the camera guys that we work with, to just really diversify the content and add to the viewing experience. And that's what it's done. There's some people who never watch fan cams. There's some people who think, I hate to watch that, because all it is people who are reactionary because they're angry because they've just lost the game, or too happy because they've won a game. and it's too reactionary for me. I'd prefer to watch the watch-alongs. There are some people like that. There are some people who don't watch the watch-alongs, who only watch fan cams. Some people can't stand Mark. Some people can't stand me. Some people can't stand rants, or they just take a little bit of what they like. But what it's about, it's not really about who wins the popularity contest. It's about providing the most well-rounded channel for any type of viewer. And I think that is where we've done well, and that's why we've seen the subscribers jump up.
Yeah, I've been watching since years ago when I remember there was a guy called Alex who's on the show. Like, that's how long ago it was. But win, lose or draw, I make sure I watch, because I know we were so accustomed to great times, but then the shit times, and then we're just on the rise again. So you've gone through this roller coaster. So like the good times are great and the shit times are bad, but you can't just be like, oh yes, we won. Like real fans will understand. Real fans will be watching this. Yeah.
100%.
Tell me this: how do you see the rest of the season play out, Flex? Now, will we continue to play Premier League football this year, or will we squash the season and start again?
I think because the virus is so ever changing, it's changing from day to day to week, which will be month to month. I think it's too early to write it off. I don't think, even though I've seen they've written off a lot of the women's game and the lower leagues, which is quite harsh. And there's a reason why they haven't done that to the Premier League and stuff like that, because of the money that it generates. They wouldn't write that off. They're going to leave that to the last second. I think look, the people involved, i.e. the Premier League and the clubs, their number one aim is to finish the season when safe to do so. And I think that's right. I don't think, even when people were trying to talk about this, let's just end the season as it is, and that's where people finish. Absolutely not. You can't do that. I think it's really simple. You either finish
fans wouldn't want that either.
No, they don't. They don't even want to be handed the league. And fair play to those fans, those Liverpool fans who would
waited 30 years as well.
30 years, waited 30 years, and then when it does come, you were just kind of given it, even though they were probably going to win it. It just doesn't have the same shine, does it? No. So I think to answer your question, I think if we're getting to the peak of this pandemic at the moment, I think the next couple of weeks will be particularly bad. We're seeing that if we start to come out of that better on the other side, and we get to say, there's definitely not going to be any football, obviously, all of this month. I don't think there'll be football most of May. I think back end of May, maybe early July, we could see it, which if they can find a way to encapsulate that into next season, then I think we could well see it happen. I don't think we'll see fans going to games for sure. I think it'll be behind closed doors if it does come back. But I'm still clinging on to the fact that it will, but that's not to say that it won't, because like I said, the COVID-19 is really, it's ever changing. And I think there will have to be a cut-off point where they go, right, it's now the beginning of July and we're not even off lockdown yet. For example, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we don't even know when we're going to definitely be off lockdown. So for players to even be able to come out and play games and coaching staff, and and these games need to be on TV, so you need to get TV cameras there and broadcasters. So
what about pre-match press conferences as well? They won't be able to do that
press
either.
Conferences, exactly. Or I suppose they can just do one big Google Hangout or something and get that. But again, exactly, it would need to be really thought about. So I'm clinging on to the fact that it still can potentially happen, but who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah. Hopefully.
Flex, to get top 4?
Will we?
Yeah.
Well, we were going in a good direction, weren't we? I mean, since Bruno's come, everything's just changed.
How's the atmosphere been in Old Trafford since Bruno's after arriving?
Oh, brilliant. To be fair, it wasn't in the first game he played, which was Wolves at home, 0-0. That was 0-0, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a bit of an anticlimax. But again, it was more of a realization that, this guy can't just come in and change everything. But then after that, he did. So he's been fantastic. But I think more to do with Solskjaer. I think the last 11 games, he scored like 29 goals, only conceded like 8. And we were starting to put a good run together, close the gap down to 3 points to Chelsea. And there was all to play for. We was about to play Spurs, who were in a real bad position. We were favourites for that game. And I think this pause in the season is going to be really weird when or if we do come back, because a lot of teams would have gathered some momentum, got some players back. You look at the likes of Spurs, whenever we play them next, they have all their players back fit again. They were on their asses when we was about to play them. And even us, though, it's a chance to get Pogba back, Rashford back. So there's every chance we can get 4th. Will we do it? I'm going to be optimistic. Yeah, I'm going to say we've got a couple of tough, but so the running for Chelsea's quite tough. I think they still got to play Liverpool. They still got to play someone else difficult. I think it's Man City. But there's difficult games all around, is what I'm saying. So I think we've got every chance of getting fourth. What do you reckon?
In my head, Flex, I'm like, we should try and catch Leicester, and then if we can catch Leicester, because I think they're about 10 points ahead of us, then we end up in the top 4 automatically. As opposed to if you just aim for that one spot ahead, you're constantly like, we're still 3 points behind, and then next thing you know, you finish the season. So I'm like, catch Leicester in third, and then like we'll definitely be in the top 4. I think we can definitely do it, especially if we get Rashford back, get Pogba back. I think we're doing really well at the moment. That Chelsea team has been so hit and miss, and I think that's another thing when the English media, like Lampard was like, "Geez, he's done brilliant," and then Solskjaer's like, "I don't know about him," but Barry, what do you think?
Well, first of all, don't forget about Man City mightn't be in the Champions League for the next 2 years as well. So
fifth might be able to get it. Exactly, it could be. That's still unconfirmed. So I agree with what you're saying there, Rocco. Like, aim as high as possible. We've got to, because you just don't know what's going to end up. If you aim high and get slightly below that, then like you said, you're still in it. Yeah. But I think it's going to be a tough battle. It'll be a tough battle. But you're right. Chelsea been inconsistent all season, and the amount of pressure that Ollie's been under, it kind of makes you think, actually, well, when you think about it, he's only 3 points off Lampard. Played well in some of the big games. Some of the teams that we say, well, look how Wolves are playing, etc. Well, we're above them, only just, but we are. So I think Ollie's done a lot of good. I think I'm not saying he's going to win us the Premier League title. I'm not saying he's going to win us the Champions League, but I definitely think he's done the best in terms of laying some serious foundations that we can go forward on. You just look at the buys that he's bought and the feeling around the club, how the players feel. I feel he's just changed that dynamic and had to get rid of players who didn't want to be there, and the types of players he's brought in the mould. You look at the likes of Fernandes, Maguire and Bissaka. Yes, James is getting there. He's a slow progress, but just those players are cemented straight away. Bissaka, brilliant, been absolutely fantastic. Maguire, yes, captain now, slowly coming into great form, being a leader, being commanding. That game against Everton, I think it was, he was just header after header after header, like being, showing that commanding style. Bruno, we know all about him already. He's changing the types of players that we get, and will he hit the top?
And Rashford with his all-time top goal scorer this season as well.
Rashford having his best season. Fred looking a new player. McTominay being excellent. So even if the players, Martial doing well. So even the players we already had, I think he's done well to kind of improve them. Brought in young Brandon Williams, who's done well. He's actually probably even ended up making Luke Shaw raise his game as well. So there's we're not there yet, but I think there's signs. It could go to shit in the next 18 months.
I don't think
it could go to the shit by the time next season. It could go to shit this season. We've got 8-9 games left. We could be on the wrong end of results and end up finishing 6th or 7th. That could happen.
The thing is now, they're now playing with confidence compared to previously. They were absolutely. I heard you say earlier, once we went 1-0 down, everyone shot their pants. But now it almost looks like an Ollie team as well, because he got Maguire, he got Wan-Bissaka, he got Bruno, he got Agallo. I'm obviously missing 2 players here as well, but Dan James, all them players were playing recently, and I think that was 6 players in the starting 11, and they were all bought by Solskjaer. So that's a Solskjaer team. And
you see that there, that you got to give props to him. I know I speak to a lot of fans who are Ollie's staunchest critics, and you guys watch the channel. There's a lot of people that I speak to who don't think he's the right man and never have, probably never will. There's nothing you can do to win them over. But I just like to look at things all in. And yes, there are some question marks over Solskjaer, in-game management, tactics, philosophy, playing style. I get it, but you've got to give credit where credit's due in terms of what you just said there, Barry. Like some of the players he's brought in, you can't take that away from him. He's brought those players in. Yeah,
but it was the Bruno I think was the missing piece. But here, we may as well talk about the United team just before we get to anything else. But what do you make of the United team right now? And will Pogba come back into the team? What do you think we really need?
For me, we've got
and Ross,
to
you can give me your opinion as well, right?
Right side.
I'm allowed, am I?
You're allowed this time, bud.
You know what, Barry? I'd almost turn that question on its head and go, name 2 players that are going to make us Champions League contenders next year. Because I think we've all agreed that we're looking at that top four. Who do we need to get in to make us, Premier League and Champions League contenders next year?
We've got to get a right winger. I know there's
100%.
loads about Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho would be a phenomenal signing. Like, you think of a front three of Martial, Rashford, and Sancho. That's up there. I don't care what anyone says. That's frightening.
That is crazy.
Crazy. I've got that front three on FIFA. Yeah, and let me tell you, it bangs. Yeah, it bangs.
Any pace,
it's proper.
Any pace?
Just a little bit. Do you know what I mean? That would literally frighten defenses in real life. So, I think we have to try and go all out for him. But even if we don't get him, you know what it's like when these rumours start circulating. You can already see what the summer's going to be like. I know we don't know what it's going to be like in terms of the transfer window, what it's like, but we can see what it's heading in terms of the Jadon Sancho saga. You can just feel it. It's going to happen. Will he, won't he? What's going to happen? But if we get him, I think that could help turn us into challengers along with another holding midfielder. I know the jury's out with the partner for Harry Maguire at centre-back. A lot of people say Lindelof's too lightweight. Obviously, Eric Bailly can't stay fit enough. Tuanzebe is there or thereabouts, but hasn't really been given a proper shot. So a lot of people saying we need that proper, top-notch, second world-class defender alongside Maguire to complement him.
Yeah. With pace.
With pace. I think we do need a better partner for Maguire. But if you never know, if Bailly could be that guy, but I don't think Lindelof's as bad as everyone maybe makes out. I think, don't get me wrong, there's question marks over him sometimes aerially and stuff like that. But he's put in a lot of good performances this year, man. It's easy as fans to want something different all the time. But you look at our defence, and like you said there, Barry, the way that we're defending now is very confident. He's really built something there. Like I said, can you buy a better left-back than Luke Shaw? Can you buy a better centre-half than Lindelof? Yes, but what we need right now in order to turn us into title contenders is a right winger, I think, and another central midfielder. I think if we can get those two, I was in the camp of saying we need a proper striker, like a number nine.
Yeah.
The like of a Timo Werner, the likes of a Harry Kane, a Raul Jimenez. I keep mentioning Raul Jimenez on any video that I've been doing because people ask me a lot what I think, and I think because we played Wolves so many times in the short space of time, I've seen firsthand just how good he is. Raul Jimenez, he is quality. But I think the main aspect needs to be a right winger and a central midfielder. I think if we get that and a centre half.
Any names for centre midfielders there, Flex?
Yeah.
I know. Indeed, he's been linked a lot. Well, I don't think necessarily linked, but spoken about by Man United fans because he'd be perfect. Arsenal want him as well. Who wouldn't want Ndidi? Someone of that ilk, Thomas Partey at Atletico Madrid. I think he's been brilliant. I mean, you only got to look at that game he had against Liverpool when they knocked them out the other week, which was fantastic. He's that box-to-box dynamic, or someone who can just sit in front as well as have a good engine. Someone like him. I know we probably wouldn't get Kante, but I'd take him all day long as well. Someone like that and play him in his rightful position, which for me is essential.
Yes, I'd like to say it's party time.
Yeah, 100%. He's quality. He is brilliant. He really is.
Two random shouts there. Well, three random shouts. First of all, Vertonghen is available for free at the end of the season. Giroud is available for free at the end of the season, and Willian is available for free at the end of the season as well. But just because of the climate.
If we were going all out, what about Partey's mate, Stan Gaze? He's such a big game player as well.
Yes, 100%. I mean, we are linked with him. We've done a couple of shows on that, and again, he possesses a lot of attributes that you would need working in that part of the pitch. But if you're looking at Bruno, you're looking at Pogba, you're looking at again like maybe Stan Gaze or Thomas Partey or something like that. That's literally almost the best you can get. You know what I mean? Not far off, along with other combinations. It's as good as any top midfield you'd see in the world. So, yeah, I'd definitely take Soundagaze. He's a proper player. But, a lot of players that I'll take are not even necessarily... it's almost like, I think we're at the stage where we need to get the best of the rest to then solidify to be like a constant top four and then push on from there. So you look at Leicester's team, for example. You look at teams like that and a Wolves. You take players from those teams and put them into your own. Then you become like a force within the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? Then you kind of kick on and then get your upper echelon players like a Sancho and, so when we're talking about a Grealish or Maddison, indeed, these types of players, I love Jota. I love Jota at Wolves. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's brilliant. Son at Spurs, brilliant. Even Traore at Wolves, brilliant. Neves, good player. These types of players like that, if you put them all into a well-oiled machine with the likes of a Martial, with the likes of a Pogba, then it's got a spine of Harry Maguire and another centre-half, then it's got De Gea. You're then building something special. I don't think you necessarily have to go and try to buy Mbappe or go and buy Neymar or, do you know what I mean, or Griezmann. Or I just feel like we can get Premier League proven players who are very good and be a force. And I think that's what we should be looking at also as well.
You're right. We should get Mbappe and Neymar.
Imagine.
I think the base of United now is solid now from what it was.
Yeah, the foundations.
The foundation, I think, it is fine. Like, and I think that is. I think every United fan can see it. I think every fan can see it now. They're like, oh shit, especially since Bruno came. But like the one man we had to talk about before we let you get on with your day, Paul Pogba. Like obviously he's been talking now on the TV, online. I'm sure he has to do that to earn. Like they're like, here, you're getting like 400 grand a week. You have to do something for it.
Yeah.
But like you have to say something. Yeah. But what do you sort of see with the Paul Pogba situation? Because like people love him, people hate him. Like as United fans, he can infuriate you because he has been annoyed. But this is almost a new team he's coming into.
It is, and that just quick. Firstly, on that, you have to look at it like phases, like different phases. Some players operate in, the team that Pogba's coming back into will be slightly different. It will, especially with the acquisition of Bruno and just the way the team's playing in general.
Yeah, because they fix things without him.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I know people saying, this just proves we don't need Pogba anymore, etc., etc. Listen, Pogba, I think people are quick to forget. When Pogba had that patch of form, when Oli first came in, that 3 months, he was unreal. He was doing what Bruno's doing, plus more, to be honest. And ability-wise, like I just done an interview with Troy Deeney, and he said if you were going to paint or mould a central midfielder from scratch, it would look like Paul Pogba. I know the media circus around him and the agent and stuff. If you put that to the side, I'm talking about pure footballing ability. You'd want someone of his stature, his speed, his strength, his skill, his passing range,
keep going,
his shooting. Do you know what I mean? He's got everything, and that is where the frustration comes from, because we know he has everything. I just think that he put himself in a difficult position last year because once you come out and make comments like I'm looking for a new challenge, fans' ears are going to prick up. Fans are going to start saying, okay, well, if you don't want to be here, get out.
I can understand why he wanted to leave though as well. I could understand that.
Exactly. I think he came here 2016, being told you're going to get this player around you. We're going to build to that. And look what he's coming from, winning a World Cup, playing big games, playing in Champions League finals, competing for titles, winning titles in Serie A. And he wants to compete at the highest level. Why would he not? He's Paul Pogba, and he's 26, getting into the peak. He's 25, 26 now. Peak of his powers. This is where he really is at the peak of his, career. And I don't blame him. He wants to, he's been, look at some of the teams he's been playing in, some of the players he's been playing with. It's been terrible. And I know he's got to be a team player and be there, but at the end of the day, it's his career. And you can't expect players to just sit and waste their careers. Has he handled it the best with the agent? No. I say that on the Flex and Rant show a lot of the time where, if you ask Rants, as you guys know, Pogba can do absolutely no wrong. I do think he has to take some criticism with the way he's handled it, because at the end of the day, he could just tell his agent to shut up. He can. He pays his agent. His agent represents him. Just say, Mino, just shut up. Just don't say anything, please. Yeah. He can come out, or he can come out and say, listen, 100%. I don't think he's got the best people around.
His brother's is bad as well.
His brother's probably even worse.
But going into the French team as well. Going into the French team as well, they probably take the piss out of him, being like, "Oh, you're in the Europa League. We're winning the Champions League as well."
100%.
He has an ego. Come on.
100%. So I think he'll end up staying, which I was really surprised about up until I asked Oli. Really, Oli said you can expect him to stay, but more so
if we get Champions League. I say
if we get Champions League, but I just feel. Do you know what it is? I just feel like United won't let him leave.
No,
they didn't let him leave last year. He's got 2 years left in his contract, or a year plus an extension, which they can activate and make him stay 2 years. And I don't think, for how people like to try and paint Pogba, he's not the sort of player who were down tools and refused to play. I don't know, but he has been injured this season. People saying conspiracy theories, he wasn't really injured and all this bullshit. He was injured. They rushed him back. He got injured again and needed another operation.
Yeah, so, Flex seen his medical receipts.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? People,
what did he took the photo and people said it was fake?
Yeah, he done a video when he was high off gas and oxygen. What did he do? Just rent out a Bupa private hospital and some cannulas and stuff, and just pretend that he was, in a hospital. It's bullshit. The guy was injured.
Fans. You have to look football.
You do.
Flex, tell me this, right? Starting next season, who starts in midfield for Man United?
Pogba, Bruno, and
Henderson.
Another midfielder that we buy.
Party.
Hopefully Party.
So do you think McTominay and then Fred are subs for next season then?
But you know what? Yeah, I don't think they're sold, because that's what I was going to say. Because I was actually
subs.
Oh, subs. The reason it took me long to answer your question, because I was actually going to say, I reckon like McTominay would be in there or Fred, because listen, these guys, you got to give props, man. Even Matic has done well. I hold my hands up as well. Like, I was one of Matic's biggest critics before January. In terms of, I just kind of thought that McTominay had done the job, displaced him, and we don't need Matic anymore. But fair play to Matic, man. I think he come in after January, after Scott's injury, and he done absolutely brilliantly. Fred is a different player this year, unbelievable. So it's weird, because we're kind of well stocked in central midfield now, but we still need that player who's like outstanding in that position. McTominay's a young player, still learning, still growing, still excelling, and he will. Matic, there's only going to be a year or two left in him, and Fred, as a rotation player, squad player. At the minute, he's the focal point of our midfield, the integral part of our midfield. But if you do get someone better than Fred, or as good as Fred, but we want better, then you can swap it around. We want those selection problems. I think where we've been as United fans in the last few years is like, if we don't have our starting 11 out, and even our starting 11 hasn't been great, it's like we're ruined. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we saw.
I can't not ask you. Is this the end for Jay Lings?
I think Lingard. Rance doesn't agree, but I think Lingard should move for his own good. I don't get on the bandwagon of calling him shit and saying he's crap and he should be playing in the Championship. I still think Jesse is better than what he's showing us. I think he's in a real bad patch of form, and I think if he was honest with himself, I think all what's been going on around him has really affected him. You can see it. He's just
but he doesn't do himself any favours, though, does he?
He doesn't. I think he's never going to change in terms of. You see,
also, I think Man United don't do him the favours either, though. Flex. Man United are always like putting him up on their social media, and he's just getting absolute clowned.
It's because he's a social media king. Like, in terms of, he's always out there trying to be silly. He's always living his best life, win, lose or draw. And sometimes, some of his posts might be a little bit ill love. But for me, my biggest grievance with Jesse is not the fact that he's on social media. I don't mind players being on there. It's a new age. It's a new dawn. Like, these are young guys. Like, I know Jesse's not that young anymore, but I mean, like,
he looks so.
Yeah, exactly. But just the way that they're using, Jesse's almost bigger on social media as an entity than he is as a player in terms of skill and ability. And that shouldn't be the way around. But I don't begrudge players being on social media, clowning around, having a good time. Like, I don't mind that, because they're human beings. But I think they've got to show performances on the pitch. And for Jesse, obviously, I think he's gone with Raiola now as well, hasn't he? He's not going to get a game, is he? Really, let's face it.
To be honest, I don't think he starts in the second choice team.
Exactly.
Like, if you have Pogba, Fernandes, and just say, I don't know, McTominay, then you have Matic, Fred, and maybe Mata instead of him. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't.
And that's why I think he should leave for good, because he's not going to get any game time, especially with Bruno coming now and Pogba going to be fit again. That's your starting team of attacking midfielders there. You need defensive balance in that midfield after that. He's not getting in on the wings. Even Dan James, you'd argue, is more effective than Jesse right now, in terms of how direct Dan James is and how quick he is. And he might not make the right decisions, but he's more effective. Rashford's got the left side locked down, and obviously Lingard can't play up front, so he's not going to get games. So I think he needs to look at it and think, where does he want to go within? He's 27 now. he's got a few years left at the top. He needs to look at actually where does he want to go for his career.
Yeah, a good shout could be everything because of what just happened with Jack Grealish. But what a good shout could be, Jesse could go back to Leicester where he was previously on loan as with money, and we get Maddison. That could be a potential shout.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, and even on Grealish and Maddison, just quickly, guys. Like, I don't know what you guys think, but like, it's weird because where do they fit in now?
I know.
They definitely don't get into a starting team.
Yeah, because we'd be like three on top. So Rashford, Martial, Sancho, hopefully. Then we have like sort of like Bruno, and then Pogba being left, and maybe Max Sauce on the right.
There you go.
Yeah, so
you don't fit in.
It doesn't really fit in. But
no, but I mean, you want. Look, in terms of coming off the bench, you look at what City have built. 2 players for every position. They can bring Mahrez off the bench, or Bernardo Silva, or David Silva, or Gabriel
Sané.
Jesus, and play back Sane. We forgot about him because he's been injured all year. So that is where I'm not saying don't go and get Grealish or Maddison, but we have to go and get these guys with them knowing actually you're going to be part of a bigger project. You're not going to be starting every week. You're going to be part of this squad that has quality in every position, two quality players in every position. I think that's the way we need to go. We need that. We've been scrimping the barrel for quality. We've seen as soon as Solskjaer changed his team this year, like when we changed it for Europa League or changed it for Carabao Cup or whatever, it wasn't as free flowing. We almost have to play our best team every game. You know what I mean? So I would welcome the likes of having strength in depth.
Yeah, same here. Before we let you go, Flex, who was your player of the season?
For me, Wan-Bissaka, man. Wan-Bissaka. Fred is up there. Fred's been brilliant. Rashford. People forget that Rashford, as well as he was doing just before he got injured, the period before that, he wasn't doing so well. He was in a real bad patch of form.
I know.
Which kind of, it ran on from last season. Last season he was in a real bad patch of form. He started well against Chelsea, obviously scoring a penalty and then another goal. But after that was a little bit barren. But then he hit a real good patch of form. So big up to Rashford. He done really well. Best goal scoring of his career. Martial's up there. I think Brandon Williams is up there. But for me, it's got to be Wan-Bissaka, man. I think since day dot, from when I saw him on tour against Perth Glory was his first game. And then I know it's against Perth Glory, but I was like, wow. And then for the whole tour, he was amazing. Then from the day dot of the Premier League against Chelsea all the way through to now, solid 8 out of 7 almost every game. Brilliant.
8 out of 10.
He's my player of the season. 7 and 8 out of 10 for him, mate. Brilliant.
Yeah, well,
who's your player of the season?
It is between Fred and Wan-Bissaka. But like Wan-Bissaka has blown me away. And he's had a good season when Jamie Carragher gives him a massive shout out. Massive shout out.
Yeah.
What about
you? For me, it's Fred. I just think Fred the Red, like, considering I thought he was like a 50 million Ukrainian Brazilian flop. Like I was like, how does Solskjaer manage to do that? Because like he just looked so like unfit and lazy and a step behind, and next thing you know, he's like our absolute engine in midfield. So like, for me,
he has been brilliant.
When we got Wan-Bissaka, I knew he was brilliant at tackling people because I'd seen it. So I was like, I know he's going to be good. As opposed to Fred just turns his career around. And then shout out to Brandon Williams for rising star.
Yeah, definitely. I think out of him and Greenwood, probably be young player of the year. I'll probably give it to Greenwood.
I think Jesse Lingard put his name in there as well.
Scott McTominay's been brilliant as well before he got injured. But with the young players of the season, as it were, I think Mason's been fantastic because he hasn't started anywhere near as much games as we might have thought he would have. But every time he's been called upon, he's scored and played well, man. So, I think between him and Brandon Williams, definitely be young players of the year.
I love it. Well, Flex, it's been absolutely brilliant talking to a fellow United supporter. I'm sure everyone that's tuned in has enjoyed the show. Ross, anything else?
No problem, man.
Wrap it up.
No, guys, thanks a million for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. We'll tag Flex and this so you can catch him on all his social channels. Thanks a million and stay energized.
Yes, man, stay energized for sure, man. Thanks for having me on. Really enjoyed it, guys. Keep up the hard work. And now we've done this, actually, I can't wait until all this is blown over because we're going to have a good night out in Dublin.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to have you on the show again when you're in Dublin.
100%, man. 100%. Whenever you guys
first round's on us.
Shout me. Yeah, I love that. And you know what? I'm not a massive Guinness fan, actually, so you can get me to having some traditional proper Guinness. That's what I want.
No worries.
Don't worry. We'll be on the whiskey. Okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Nice one.
Cheers coming on.
Yeah.